welcome to Retrotainment. Back here with my co-host, capital C, capital O, Greg. How you doing, buddy?
What's the story, bro?
Nothing much, nothing much. Getting into the probably I don't know if it's your favorite month. It's probably my second favorite.
Certainly my favorite month for films.
I think it might be my second, even with that.
Summer?
No, Christmas.
Oh, Christmas.
I'm a big Christmas film guy, so
yeah. Christmas makes sense. I was thinking more blockbusters in the summer, but
no, I'm
for
a
films
Christmas,
that are on the telly, yeah.
Yeah, Christmas film guy, me. But this is a close second, yeah.
You always find out there's random things on at Christmas. Like,
yeah,
it's not just Christmas films.
Yeah, I don't really watch them on the telly. I just watch, the Christmas films myself now at this point.
Yeah. When we're old and have a job and you can buy them, you can watch them whenever.
Yeah, you can watch whatever you want. No more of this. Oh, we'll have to wait and see what comes on. But decided to start us off this month with one of the classics, I think, really, isn't it?
Yeah, this is you're talking about. It doesn't even have to be a horror movie, but you're talking about Halloween movies.
Yeah,
this is Halloween right up there.
I would say this is a kid's horror. Like if you want to start your kids out, like say 4 or 5, and be like, let's put on a kind of Halloween scary film. Yeah. This is perfect,
This or Halloween Town, something like that.
Something like this or like Witches as well would be quite a good one.
Yeah,
the original Witches, yeah.
Jeez, it's pretty bad though when you watch it now.
Yeah, they're bad,
Yeah, bad in a good way.
Yeah, but they're good for kids because there's nothing particularly bad really happens in them, but they've got witches and goblins and all this, that, and the other. Like, it's enough for them,
This has a bit of everything in it as well.
Yeah, there's a good bit in this. There's actually some stuff in this that I'd kind of forgotten about, and I'm surprised it got away with it. But obviously, it's a Hocus Pocus, which there is due to be a second one coming out. I really don't know where they're going to go with this. It could end up being good,
probably not.
Well, good as in cheesy, like this one. This one's very cheesy as well.
But Bette Midler must be about 400. Sarah Jessica Parker's probably about that as well.
Yeah, I doubt they'll be in it much. I'd say this will be like because the other way, even in this one, they go from being kind of old to younger. So I'd imagine it'll be something similar to that. They'll take a potion and it'll change the way they look or something like that.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, they might drift it back.
Yeah, I'd say it's gonna be something similar to that. But released over here anyway on the 22nd of October in 1993. So a relatively old one. I
was nearly on the way to being 3.
Yeah,
you weren't long after.
I was a little bit before that. Yeah. But the ratings wise, we also take a quick look at these. So 56 critics have it at 38%, very low.
That's disgraceful.
So, as always, because it's so low, and I was surprised about how low it was. I had a look. Some people said they didn't really like the graphics in it, and I can get that. They're very cheesy, but I mean, it was early 90s. They did what they did.
It was made in 93. Get a grip, like.
Yeah, and some people said, just the generic stuff of very cheesy and childish. I'm like, yeah, well, kids film, lads. It's not for adults. I'm not expecting to be scared by it.
What more do you want? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but audience rating I think is a lot fairer, 71%, which is probably about right. Yeah, you wouldn't be going much higher than that. Did a decent box office, 44.9 million, which is not bad.
It was Disney as well. What do you expect?
Yeah, but it's very away from Disney. Normal Disney, isn't it?
Well, Disney went on this, and then they moved off this to the likes of Halloween Town, as I mentioned before.
Yeah,
and things like that, and they kind of hit off on Disney Channel movies for a while, didn't they?
Yeah, so this is when they started to expand from what they originally were of just
cartoons,
princesses and stuff like that.
Yeah, it had to be done for them though, really,
to survive.
You couldn't have said that way.
No, you needed to expand eventually. I love the opening to this, the little the song. It comes in with the witch flying along on the broom, and then you hear the song.
Yeah,
I love the children. I think that's so good.
I love how it starts in Boston, obviously back in medieval times or whatever, 1800s.
It's Salem, isn't it? It's not
Boston.
Sorry,
yeah, Salem not in Boston.
Salem's in Massachusetts, which is where Boston also is, but I don't think Salem's in Boston. I think it's its own place in Massachusetts.
Well,
But,
yeah.
yeah, but it's relatively similar. Yeah, but I just love how it's that's the starting. Like you start straight in with they're stealing a child.
Oh God.
This
is where you wouldn't know. Like if you hadn't seen this and know nothing about it, if you didn't see the Disney on it, you think this is starting straight in. That kid's getting killed and that's it.
Yeah, but the fact is that it's Disney, so in your head you're kind of like, well, they're just going to save that child.
Yeah,
which
it's Disney.
I think is
they can't do that.
Yeah, you're just like, that child's definitely going to be saved, and it looks like the child is going to be saved because the older brother Thackeray comes running out to save her, and he gets there, and it looks like he's about to manage it.
Not so much.
Now the death is, they just suck. Well, I mean, they just suck like the life essence out of her, and it's kind of, that's it. Like there's nothing gruesome or anything, and then they turn him into a cat with everlasting life, so he can remember his failure forever.
Yeah, they turn him into Salem Saberhagen. That's what they did.
What I like about this is they do it because he calls them ugly, and it just shows how petty they are about their looks. Yeah, like
it seemed to be that time though. Like I know I was reading something that what's her name? Is Judi Dench or someone? As soon as they turned a certain age, she was offered witch role after witch role after witch role.
Yeah.
So as soon as you seem to hit an age at that stage, it was that's all you're gonna do. So I think it was a little pop shot at that as well.
But you have to think like Sarah Jessica Parker would have been quite young doing this.
Yeah, she was probably in her 20s.
Yeah, like she would have been quite young. Like she's clearly the youngest of the three of them.
Before she started to look like a horse.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. But it's mad to me that they first they kill a child, which you're kind of not expecting.
Yeah.
And then they actually hang them.
Yeah, and you see most of it.
You see them like dangling and stuff, and I was like, whoa, I don't remember that being in this.
It's very dark, very quick.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you don't see anything big happening, and all they say is, this is uncomfortable around my neck, and then you see them swinging. So it's not like, it's not gruesome or anything, but you're still like, geez, I don't remember this being in this kid's film.
Yeah, like you wouldn't really want to be showing a young kid this either, though.
Exactly, you'd probably skip it.
Or skip it. What I'm surprised is, with it being on Disney Plus, they've cut stuff out of a lot of movies, and I'm surprised that this.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of surprised by when I watched it on Disney Plus.
Maybe,
I was like,
maybe they didn't because it's their movie.
I think you kind of need to as well, though, don't you? Like, if you cut this out, then how do they die? Like, you still you have to show it for the rest of the film to make sense, I think, don't you? But they get hanged, but before they get hanged, they put a curse down to say, like, eventually on this night, someone will summon us back by a virgin will summon us back by lighting this candle.
The black flame candle.
Yeah, the black flame candle.
Which actually looks fairly good when it does get lit.
It does. I was surprised by how good that looks, but it's like it's only on that night. So if it's lit any other night, it doesn't matter.
Sound. Yeah, your sound.
You think the people in there someone would have just gone in and lit it.
You think they would have just put it in a safe?
Well, they wouldn't have had a safe back then,
No, well, in '93 they would have.
No, but you see, it starts out back in even way before that.
I know.
You think one of them would have just lit the candle and be like, right, that's the end of that candle, so that'll never happen.
Let it burn out.
Yep, that's the end of that.
But it doesn't burn out either, though.
It does eventually.
Yeah,
it's like a 24-hour candle sort of thing. But
let it burn.
Yeah, I like that it goes from there, and just jumps straight to modern times, but we see that the story was being told by the school teacher.
Yeah, it's very good, isn't it?
Yeah, I liked that. And then you have the new kid, Max, and he's just like, no. Max
is a dick.
I can kind of get, if you grew up in Salem, you probably would have heard all these stories from when you were growing up, and he's not from there. He's just like, this is all bollocks.
He's a San Fran kid, isn't he?
LA.
Or LA, yeah.
Yeah, and he's just like, this isn't real.
Oh, how wrong he was.
He learns very quickly that he was wrong, but he goes home and he doesn't believe it and anything like that, and he gets accosted on the way home by these bullies who steal his shoes.
I like your shoes.
They want his money, and then he doesn't have it. They want smokes, he doesn't have them, and then they're just like, right, we'll just take this lad's shoes.
It's a very young Jay and Silent Bob. It's not actually Jay and Silent Bob.
I know, yeah, but it's very similar, isn't it? Yeah.
You look at it now and you're like, you could be a very young Jay and Silent Bob.
He gets forced to bring his little sister out trick or treating though. And I like this because, you know, he's like, well, I'm definitely not doing it. And she just screams for the mother. And then you're like, yeah,
You're
that's
doing it,
why.
pal.
Yeah, you don't really have a choice now, do you?
What happened? She went straight to the big guns.
Yeah, she went straight for the big guns. And he brings her out, like, and it's, you know, it's typical trick or treat. And, you know, you
Yeah.
go from house to house, you get some sweets. You go to the next house, you get some sweets. And we get accosted
I miss trick or treating.
Yeah, you get accosted by well, you'll be able to bring the kids out now.
Well, we might be allowed to go this year.
Yeah, I'd say this year you'll be okay.
Yeah, hopefully.
They get accosted by the bullies again, and the sister just seems determined to embarrass the fella.
I'll get my brother after you.
I get my brother after the 10 guys here that, you know, even if he was like this big massive lad, you're like, yeah, there's still 10 of them. Probably not a good idea to start this.
You have to wonder why they didn't go out the gate they came in.
Well, he wanted to, and then she walked out that way.
Yeah, she knew exactly what she's doing. She's a little arsehole.
Yeah, she's just causing trouble for him all the time. So he gives them the sweets, and off they go up to the next rich house. Well, after he upsets her and then consoles her, and then off to the rich house.
I'll tell you what, the house difference from the couple you just see them trick or treating into that one.
Yeah,
it might as well be I know it could be on a different road, but it's a whole different ballgame of a house.
Yeah, it is. I like that they get there and, you know, the doors just open.
But I'd say back then, though, there's a lot of places that did that. Like, there used to be, I remember growing up doing trick or treating, and there was a couple of houses in Fassaro and James Everett and all that used to do that.
Yeah, but it's kind of like they were having this massive party as well, and they just left the front door open and left their teenage daughter in charge of doing the trick or treating.
She was definitely one to eyeball.
Yeah, but they get to the house, and obviously this is the girl he's kind of flirted with in school and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm just bringing. She's like, I thought you didn't believe in all this. I'm just bringing my sister out. You know, a real cool guy.
Yeah.
And then they get convinced to go to this museum, which then.
Well, I don't know what's going on. She convinced him to break into the museum.
No, because her mum worked in the museum, so
it's still closed. They're breaking into the museum.
Well, I don't know. Did she have keys? You know, maybe she still had the keys or whatever.
If it's closed and she doesn't work there, they're breaking into the museum.
Probably, but they go to the museum and then they go to the Sanderson's house.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, they go to Sanderson's, and you're like, okay, I can see why you'd go to the spooky house. And then they get there, and you know, Alison's well up on, you know, all the history and stuff. She's like, yeah, you can't light the candle. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. We'll just go there and I'll light the candle. You're just like, dude, what are you doing?
She literally just told you don't do that.
She told you can't light that. And I love that, like, they just keep stressing that, you know, it has to be a virgin, and they keep stressing that point, and then it's just like his sister brings it up like 8 or 9 times later in the film. Like,
it's very, very out there for Disney, this movie.
Yeah, it is. It's
like this, I think Disney might have put their name to this, but this wasn't Disney at all.
I can't see them making it, like, because they mention it, I'd say, about 13 or 14 times in the film. Like,
yeah, like, could you imagine watching this with a 7 or 8-year-old? What's a virgin?
Yeah,
none of your goddamn business.
I'll tell you when you're older. But obviously, this brings the Sanderson sisters back to life.
I love this though because it lights up the big neon green lights
under the floorboards and everything. Yeah, it's so good, isn't it?
Like, it was so good for 93. The way they've done it was perfect.
Yeah, and I like that, you know, they get back and the three of them hide, and then, you know, they're like, oh, I can smell children, and they find a little girl. And they find Danny, and she's just like, oh yeah, I summoned you back, because she's dressed as a witch and everything. So she's kind of like trying to play it off like, oh yeah, I'm with you, like, and they're just not buying it at all.
Oh, I'm one of yous, yeah.
I'm just gonna go now. Oh, but we're hungry. Oh, I'm not. Yeah, well, I think you'll find that you being hungry has nothing to do with us being hungry.
Did you notice I know when Max comes through here, it has an air of Evil Dead about it. Do you know Evil Dead 3 when he goes back in time and he has like the gun? He's like, look what I have with the lighter.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's little throwbacks to other movies that have kind of built the platform to it.
Yeah, but that's what I like. They make reference to the fact that it's been 300 years. So you're talking the technology is going to be so different.
Oh yeah, well, they're in what would be modern day.
Well, he takes out a lighter. Like, that's not even something they'd have had back then. So they're like, ooh, he's made flames with his hands. And he
Yeah.
says it's a burning rain of death, and it's just these sprinklers that have been
He just
installed
puts
in
it to
their
the
house.
sprinkler head. Yeah.
Which means somebody's been maintaining that house.
Yeah. Well, they use it as a museum.
Yeah, exactly. So they have everything in it. And
Now, the one thing you have to wonder, right? So, alleged spell, everybody knows. Why take the risk and leave the candle there?
yeah,
Why not
blow it
just
out.
make a replica?
Well, I suppose people kind of didn't believe that bit
And
for some reason.
why not cut the wick out?
Yeah, you'd have to ask why didn't they do this? But I like that, just as they did get back, the cat comes bounding in and he's like, "You idiots, get the book."
Yeah.
And you're kind of
Did that cat just talk?
This cat just talk, and you're like, wait, if this cat could talk for the last 300 years, why didn't he just go talk to anybody?
Anybody, everybody.
Yeah, this lad could have been wandering around telling everyone all this stuff for years, and if he can talk to everybody, they'd all just believe him.
And
but
someone would adopt them, and they'd be rich.
Yeah, but they he gets them to steal the book, and they run out into the hollowed ground.
No. Is it stealing the book really? If it's to protect the world?
Well, it's stealing the book as much as it was breaking and entering. You're still not meant to take it.
Yeah.
But they run into the hollowed ground where the witches can't step. And I like this. He's telling them all about the witches and stuff, and then he's like, they're like, but they can't get in here, right? And they're like, well, he's like, well, they can't, and they're all like,
yeah.
You said that in a very strange way. Now, what's going on here?
It set it up brilliant, didn't it? It's done so subtly, but so perfectly. There's something coming.
Yeah,
like if you're under, say, 10 or 12, you don't pick it up. You're like,
yeah, and if you haven't been a horror, like watching horrors and stuff, you're not going to think, oh yeah, that's what's going to happen. But
it still follows a lot of the horror tropes.
Yeah.
In terms of the way they've portrayed some of the things in it.
Yeah.
Like the witches hold certain rules. The whole eating children they followed obviously from the witches by Roald Dahl and things.
Yeah. No, they stuck to most of the tropes, I think. Like, and even when they're doing the potion, it's like they have to, the toe
and all,
yeah, well, like there's the toe of this person, and then they have to bite off their own tongue and all this, like like there's a price for the spells they cast, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's done very well. Like, I'm really surprised with the low rating that it got.
Yeah,
but you can see why.
Yeah, it's very childish, and it's very which is fine, but it's also very hokey as well, and that's perfect because it's what I want from the film. But I can see why people might not like it because of that.
Yeah, I watch this almost every year.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, actually, I probably do watch it every year.
I love that they get the zombie out, and that Max pulls the tree head back and just knocks his head off. You're just like, yep, perfect.
Billy Butcherson.
Yeah, and then they go running off.
That should have been Johnny Depp.
Probably, yeah, that'd be a good show.
That should be Johnny Depp. Like, if you look at that now, if that was made now,
it'd be Johnny Depp. Yeah,
that's Johnny 100%. Depp. It doesn't matter who else looks at it.
Yeah, no, it is. But I love that they escape again, right? And then they're coming up out of the sewers. But the witches have gone off and gotten on the bus.
Yeah, so the one thing that gets me there is, so they go down the little thing, and the two girls go all gently down, and he comes and he just nosedives down.
He's a madman, Greg.
That what's that? That's a broken neck.
Yeah, the guy's just insane. Yeah. But they come up out of the street, and the witches are just driving this bus.
It's so funny. You get on, and he's just, okay, bye.
Yeah, but this is where Binks gets killed, and you're like, oh,
for the first time.
Yeah, but like with the first time you're watching it, you're like, oh, I really wasn't expecting that. There's
a lot of movies nowadays that Disney do, and you don't expect a lot of stuff to come from it.
Yeah.
Like when you take Marley and Me, for instance.
Oh yeah, it's a rough one.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? Like, things like that you don't expect. Like, you wouldn't expect to see the cat getting run over here. Like, there's no hope of it.
Yeah.
Especially not when you've seen Disney's name at the start of it.
Yeah, and because you're thinking this guy's been around 300 years.
He's a main character. What happened? Oh, he's dead.
Yeah. But he returns, and I love his reaction. He's just like, oh, I hate when that happens. As in, like, this has happened enough times that, it's become an annoyance for him.
Yeah, well, the way that he comes back, like, you see his ribs reform and all, it's done very well as well.
No, it is done very well, but it's so good when he's like, this is something that's happened enough times that you're like, you should probably have learned from this.
Don't walk across the road.
Don't be in the middle of the road. But they go from there and they're like, right, we need to get to our parents and tell them what's happened. And the witches are traveling around with all the children running around, and they still don't understand that Halloween is, people dressed up. So they're like,
I love the little walk they have.
Yeah, where they pick up the dresses and
they shuffle side to side nearly.
Yeah,
brilliant.
But they have the little girl dressed as the fairy who blesses them.
Bless you.
And but they go and they see your man dressed as the devil.
This is brilliant.
And they think like this is the actual devil, like.
Yeah, and they leave their brooms outside.
Yeah, but he kind of plays up to it. He's like, if they're gonna say it, I'm gonna play along.
Yeah, and they leave the brooms, and the three kids come and take them. And they go off screen. You can go, whoa!
You hear the whoosh and the scream, yeah. But the three main kids they get to this thing with their parents, and they're like, something's happened. And the dad's first reaction, because obviously he only sees Max, he's like, what's happened? Where's your sister? And he's like, no, she's fine. She's around here somewhere. And he's like, all right, what's the problem? And they're explaining, the witches came back and this, that, and the other. And while they're doing this, the witches have had their problem with your man in a dressed in the devil costume
and his missus
and been kicked out of the house.
Like, what did he expect was going to happen? His wife was upstairs and he's dancing with somebody.
Well, she was downstairs originally.
Yeah, but didn't you see them?
Yeah. No, she did, because he introduces them to her. And
but like she goes off.
Yeah, I don't know what this lad was thinking, but he wasn't thinking straight anyway.
Well, I know what he was thinking. But...
Yeah, but not a smart man anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, the witches show up at the party, and this is one of the best scenes in it. When they start the
singing.
He jumps up and he's like, I've got a really important announcement, and it does look planned, because if you were at a party now, why are all these parties mental? Like,
why is it in a school?
No, it's not in the school, but it's like it's in this big mansion, and it's also.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
It's in this big mansion, and they've got a band and everything. Like, how many parties did you go to that had that were just a neighborhood party that had a proper band and everything?
But this is America.
You're just like, this is insane, lads.
But I'll tell you what, the Maz costume as Madonna was fairly good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. A couple of if you look at some of the costumes in the back, some of them are actually pretty good. Like some of them are done pretty well. But I love that he gets up on the stage and he introduces it, and everyone's like, because obviously they've all grown up in Salem and believe it. And then he goes, the sisters are there.
And the camera pans down, yeah.
And the spotlights and everything, if those spotlights are able to...
The camera pans down, yeah. The lights pan down.
But that's what you have to remember. If these spotlights pan down on them, someone has to be sitting there holding the spot. Like, someone's been employed to use those spotlights. That's how big this party is. There's
obviously something big that the council run or something.
I don't know. I think it's just, they're like, it'll look good. I didn't really think about, that probably isn't going to happen.
That building that they go to is the building from Friends.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a very strange little fact, isn't it?
It doesn't make sense, though, because they're set in Boston. Obviously, Friends is set in New York.
Yeah, they set everything everywhere, don't they, really?
Yeah, well, I know that, yeah, but like it's very good.
Yeah, but I love how the witches kind of play up to that they're like, everyone else thinks this is a hoax, so they're like, yeah, we'll play into it because we're smart enough to be like, oh yes, we're the Sanderson sisters, even though they actually are, and then they enchant all the adults to dance until they die.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it?
You're like, whoa, that's a rough way to go. But the song is so good when they're singing. Like, it's just
put a spell on you.
Put a spell on you. It's just done so well as well. Like when they're up on the stage and everything.
Yeah. Bette Midler has a bit of a voice on her.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
We know the other girl, not Sarah Jessica Parker, whose name I can never remember. Who plays Winnie? No, Winnie's the main one. Who plays?
No, Winfred is the main one.
Winnie, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Winnie. Yeah.
Naj, is it Najee or something?
Kathy Najimy or something like that. Najimy.
She can sing as well. You hear it in the likes of Sister Act,
yeah. But the kids escape anyway, and
they just barrow out. Good luck.
And this is when they go to the school, and I like that the witches follow, and then they sniff out, and they're like, "Oh, it's like a prison for kids." And I love that, because if you're a kid watching this, that is your kind of thought process. Yeah. You're like, oh, they're right. It is like a prison for all of us.
Yeah.
But they go in, and the lads have set up the PA system, and you're like, yeah, this is a pretty good elaborate way of doing it.
I love the trap though that they know they'll go to the kiln.
Yeah, they'll go to where they hear the sound
voices.
coming from. Now, this is a big furnace room.
Yeah, it's a kiln, yeah.
Why do all these schools, like all these American schools, always seem to have like massive furnaces that are really easily accessible to all the school children?
Well, no, that's a kiln. That's for clay, pottery, and whatnot.
That's what I thought, but then the whole room goes on fire.
Yeah, the kiln. Yeah, it heats up in the middle.
Yeah, but normally that's something that you put in. It's not a full room, like.
Well, you can. I was pretty sure you could probably do it, but that's what they say it is anyway.
Yeah, I know, but like you're thinking this is a school, and
it's a
you can
death trap, is what it is.
You're like, this is in your children's school. Like, how many times like that is not something you want at a school with all children, you know?
What happens? A bully threw your son into the kiln, turned it on.
Yeah, your child is dead. But I like that, you know, it looks like they're all celebrating and they're like, yes, we killed them. And you see them, they go up in flames and they do burn, and you see the thing coming out of the chimney. Yeah. And you're like, oh, they did kill them.
Hold on. Rewind.
But I like that they've done that, and then they get out and they're like, oh, Binks, you're going to be part of our family and adopt the cat. You're like, oh, and you're kind of thinking, Disney film. Yep, this seems like the end of a Disney film. All right, yeah, that's the end of it.
About an hour, you're talking grand, yeah.
And then they go back to his house and his parents aren't home. And you're like, okay, well, first of all, even if your parents were home from that party, and presumably they're going to be out late, if I was those parents, I'd be very worried about why my like 6 or 7 year old daughter was still out at that time. Whatever about the teenage son, you'd be like, she should definitely be home in bed.
Well, we know what the teenage son was trying to do.
Yeah, but you know, like if you're a parent,
don't blame him.
But if you're a parent, you know, you're kind of like, I don't mind you being out late, but she should definitely not be out at like that
But
time.
if they're out late and he's out late, who's minding her?
But he expected them to be home when he got home, because he even checks and he's like, oh, my parents aren't home. That's weird.
Yeah.
So he expected them to be back, sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Which says how late it was. But she then just stays over. Well, like, doesn't stay over, but like they all just fall asleep. And
like
then and they wake up and she's like, oh, it's 5 a.m.
They must have learned from me. I can do that.
Yeah, but they wake up and she's like, oh, it's 5 a.m. My parents are going to kill me. And then he goes and checks and it's like, oh, my parents aren't here either.
They're having a right old time at that party.
Yeah. But while all that's happening, the witches have come back down into the school, like through the chimney.
Yeah,
the flames have stopped.
It's brilliant that you see the green coming back down. Like,
yeah, and then they come out and they're like, where is the book? Which is the tape that was playing, and your one starts saying, no, but she starts saying like the thing in French and everything. You're just like, that's so good to like just throw back to what they were listening to as they died.
Yeah, they absorb everything, don't they?
But then, like, they're going home, and then the bullies are sitting there, and they're like, they're
not going home. They're smelling. Because she smells his shoes.
Yeah, and then they're like, "What are you doing now?" And like, these two teenage lads are giving them a horrible time.
Calling one a hag.
Then they're like, "Oh, why is it the only the ugly ones that stay out this late?" And you're like, "Oh, not a good idea. They do not like being called ugly."
Yeah, but like, there you have it. There's another little bit of a thing. Why is it only the ugly ones? What were they planning on doing if they weren't ugly?
Yeah. I don't know.
And Sarah Jessica Parker's not ugly in this one.
No, I think that's kind of the joke, isn't it? Sort of thing.
Yeah. The other two, well, Bette Miller probably wasn't ugly. I never really seen the attraction to the other one.
No, but I wouldn't say any of them were like.
Well, no, they're not ugly. No.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're ugly. They're like in Witches, you know, when the witches take the masks off and it's like the huge pointed nose and like loads of warts and stuff. Like you're like, okay, that's what you expect a witch to be like, but. Those boys get put into the cages and they learn their lesson fairly quick that they shouldn't have done that.
They just keep spinning them around.
Yeah, that's it. That's so good. But while all that's happening, Alison and Max are like, we'll just open this book that we've already been told, do not open that book.
And you've just seen all sorts of weird shit happen. Yeah. And they're doing that.
Yeah, they're like, oh, maybe we can find something to free Binks and we'll just open this book. So they open it and this big spell comes about with
How do they not see that?
I don't know. And like you see
a big green light.
Big like orange light thing, and they're like, oh, nothing weird so far. And you're like, other than the big orange light that's like sticking out of your house. Yeah.
Looks like a lighthouse now.
Yeah, but Binks jumps on the thing and closes the book, but the damage is already done because the witches have now seen
It's there.
They're like, oh, there's that big light. I know where the book is, right? Let's go and get that.
Yeah, that's
So
brilliant.
when they travel to get the book, and they like, because they've opened it, they've read, a circle of salt protects you from their spells and stuff, and you're like, okay, well, they've learned something.
I love the fact that that's in a lot of witch movies as well.
Yeah, it's in anything, like lots of demon stuff and all has that as well. Like, yeah.
So it's obviously a proper thing that people go with.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but they they go downstairs and they get the salt, and they hear a crash from upstairs. So they run upstairs, and he's like, Danny, are you okay? Takes back the covers, and nope, not Danny.
Ew.
He's like, whoa. And then the other witches come out of the
closet.
The closet, and the book is gone, and they're like, oh, the book's gone and all this. And the witches leave. Well, they zap him with like a big green ball.
It's like a little electric thing, yeah.
It like clatters him into his drums, and he's in bits.
In the Joe bits, he is.
Yeah. And then I like that they like explode the house and fly out on their, well, not brooms now, because they're on one broom, one mop, and one vacuum cleaner. Yeah. Brilliant.
I love the fact that the cord is hanging down.
Yeah, it's so good, isn't it?
It's the little details they do.
Yeah. But they fly back, and when they're flying back, Winnie is like, go collect all the children. Now, this is where I think there's a slight issue, because she goes off and she sings, right, which is perfect. You get the same song again, and it starts luring all these children in.
But there's loads of them.
Well, I don't even mind that there's loads of them, because there could be loads, because we've seen that there's loads of kids, but all the teenagers are lured by it this time.
Everybody, yeah.
And you're like, wait, but you didn't lure teenagers the last time. You only ever went for children. So why does it work on teenagers now? That's the one thing.
Maybe it's a bit more powerful now, or maybe it's more. There's more people around now.
Yeah, I think they just want that. They were just like, just anyone young we have, just have them walking, like.
Yeah, make it an effect.
Yeah, so she has all the kids coming back, and they're building up the potion and stuff back at the house, ready to give themselves eternal life again. But they've discovered. Alison remembers that they mentioned we have until sunrise, otherwise that's the end of us. So they drive the car up and shine the headlights in with them. They put some sort of tape over the headlights to make it look like
it's sunlight coming.
A sunlight rather than like just a big beam.
Yeah.
And he goes in and he tells the witches, and he's like, I know one thing you don't. Daylight savings time.
Cracking. The one-liners in it are brilliant as well.
Yeah.
There's not many of them, but they're perfect when they arrive.
But when he turns the lights on, I love how like over dramatic they are.
Yeah, they're huge.
But nothing happens to them. But because he's told them it's sunlight, they just assume they're dying. So they like fall to the floor, and they're like, oh, the sunlight, it burns. And you're like, no, it's not even sunlight.
They do the same when it rains.
Yeah. But you could get the rain one, because you're like, oh, well, they definitely wouldn't have known about sprinklers. You know? Like if that was an acid rain or something, they would be afraid. But this is something that should have like crippled them instantly in their heads, and they're just like, oh, it's painful. And then they're like, oh wait, no, it wasn't.
Nothing is happening here.
We just made that up. But he grabs Danny, and Danny is just like, I want to stay and watch them burst to flames. And Alice's like, get in the car.
How stupid can you be, you dopey little pig? Get out.
Get in here. And I like that the bullies call him back, and they're like, hey, LA, free us. Come on, man, come on. And he comes over, and he takes the shoes off them. He's like, thanks.
Again, another little cheesy one-liner. I know it's only a thanks, but perfectly placed, perfectly delivered.
He just leaves the boys in their bird cages. It's just so good.
As you would.
Yeah, well, they're dicks, Yeah. But they get back, and they're kind of like, right, we need to make sure they stay until mid. Oh well, he's knocked out the potion as well, so they only have enough for one vial.
Which means only one person is staying.
No, I think all of them can stay, because it's the one vial.
No, but it means one has got to give one of them everlasting life, because you've got to consume it all.
Yeah, but they only need one child to drink it for them to all get the everlasting life.
Yeah.
So they were just like, we just need to get one child, but because Danny called them ugly, they're like, right, that's the one where we have to kill her. And you're like, you've got all these other kids,
Yeah, but it's supposed to be the one that lit the flame candle as well.
No, it's not. No, because they specifically want Danny. They don't want him.
Yeah, but she said she lit the candle.
No, but it's because she says it's because they called her ugly. Because it's after she calls her ugly, she goes, "You'll die first."
Oh yeah.
So it's only because they got called ugly. She's just so annoyed about being called ugly.
She really doesn't like that, does she?
No, but and you're kind of thinking, just kill one of these other kids, give yourself the eternal life,
And then kill everybody.
and then go and kill her. Like, why does it have to be her? Classic bad guy move.
Yeah, rookie mistake.
Yeah, but they bump into Billy in the hollowed ground again.
Billy's a hero.
I love that he takes the knife and like cuts open his mouth and it like coughs up bits of paper and just dust and
fluff,
stuff.
and it looks like a bird feather.
Yeah, and then he just starts shit talking to your wife.
Wench.
Yeah, trollop. I've wanted to say that for a long time. Yeah, dude, say whatever you want. Just don't breathe on me. It's so good.
Which is again another great little one liner that he puts in.
But then they come back to the grave and Alison and Danny are like, "Watch out, Billy's there," and he's like, "No, Billy's all right. Like he's sound." And you're kind of like, "Why has he been chasing them this whole time then?"
I think I always put it down that he was trying to help.
Yeah, he wanted to help them, but he obviously couldn't tell them that he wanted to help them.
Yeah, he was literally going to try and get close and be like...
Yeah, but they come up with the plan of putting Danny in the circle, in his grave,
which
in
is
the
a
circle.
good idea.
Yeah, and it would have worked perfectly until Billy's head gets knocked off. Again.
Smashed.
His head gets knocked off. The two girls, or sorry, no, the rest of them are kind of like trying to keep the witches away from Danny. But when the head gets knocked off, she gets out and goes and gets the head, and you're like, the whole reason we're here is to protect you. Why did you get out of the protective circle?
She's some dope.
Yeah, and again, another horror trope. I'll go do the one thing that ruins our plan. I'll go and do it.
Yeah, she's.
But
again, classic rookie mistake.
She gets picked up by Winnie, and she's up on the broom, and she's like, "You're gonna drink this. You're gonna drink this." And this is when Binks jumps up and kind of like bites her neck and stuff.
Yeah, he gets smashed out of it again.
Yeah, kind of forces her to drop the potion, which Max catches, and he's like, now she knocks Binks away after this, and he has everlasting life, but he slams into this rock.
Yeah, it's a bad one, that.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Give her back or I'll smash the potion." She's like, "Give me the potion back or I'll kill her."
It's a classic catch-22. You
Mexicans.
kill her.
I'll break your potion.
She doesn't annoy me anymore.
Yeah.
And you die anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But also, I don't want her to die. So what'll I do? What'll I do? And then he's like,
drink it.
I'll just drink this potion. So he drinks it and he goes, "You'll have to take me now." Which, fair enough. Big sacrifice.
Classic hero move.
Yeah, classic hero move. So she goes to take him. But while she's doing that, the sunrise starts to come up. Now, this bit kind of confused me because he tries to like drag her down onto the hollowed ground, and she seems fearful of the hollowed ground.
Obviously, because it's a holy ground, it'll do something to her.
Yeah, she seems fearful of that, and then the other two witches are trying to fly to help her, but they've got hold of the cord, which we've seen dangling along the whole time previously.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And then there's like a tug of war going on with Sarah Jessica Parker holding one arm and them holding the cord. And the light comes up, they just let go, and the two witches go flying. But then they get Winnie gets knocked off the broom.
Yeah, and she's fine.
And she lands on the hollowed ground, and she's fine on the hollowed ground.
I think she thinks something will happen.
Yeah, possibly. I don't really know, but she gets knocked down onto it. Now she does turn to stone.
Yeah, so of the light.
See, I thought it was because of the light at first, but then the light just explodes the other two. So is the hollowed ground turning her to stone? And then when the light hits her, she then explodes as well.
Maybe.
Yeah, but either way, the three witches are killed.
Bread.
Yeah, and everyone gets to go home, and we see Billy puts himself back in his graveyard, or into his...
Bye, Billy.
I love how he just falls down.
Yeah. Bye, Billy. Have a nice sleep.
And then they go over to Binks, but obviously the witch's spell is gone now, so
He Brown Bread 2.
Yeah, but we do get to see the nice thing of him reuniting with his sister. His
I
soul is free.
I love it. It's like the little sister comes out and is like, Zachary,
what took you so long?
I had to deal with these 3 witches.
Yeah, and he had to wait 300 years for his virgin to light the candle. And you're like, man, stop bringing that up.
Yeah, like it's not something that should be brought up. Whatever if you say it once.
Yeah, like having it as the spell once, but like it's mentioned when
Probably 7 or 8 times.
When they tell that police officer who's not actually a police officer, when they
This
tell
guy
the parents,
this virgin lit the candle.
yeah, and then they tell the parents, and she keeps saying it.
She says it to Alison.
Yeah, it just keeps saying it. You're like, oh, what? This is really driving this point home. Like,
it would have been funnier now. All right, I know it's a kids' film, but at the end of it, where it would have been like not a virgin anymore.
Yeah, I'd say if it had been even like
a 12 or 15,
a 12s or something, that would have been a line at the end of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100% coming.
Yeah, but we get to see the parents coming home from the party, and it's now sunrise.
That's gonna be one bad hangover.
Well, I don't know, see, because they're all stuck dancing.
I know, but that's the way it's the way it comes out.
Yeah, it's kind of the way they portray it. But yeah. We also see the 2 boys still stuck in the cages, just singing songs to themselves. Now, presumably,
feeling sorry for themselves.
I'd hope someone goes and gets them eventually. Like, they are dicks, but I mean,
no one deserves to rot in a cage.
I mean, you can't leave them living in a bird cage for the rest of their lives, you know?
Yeah. And again, that's an old school medieval torture method as well.
Yeah, leave them sitting in there and have the crows come and peck at them and stuff.
Yeah. It's just very subtle in this as well that it's done that way.
Yeah, they're indoors, obviously, so like there's no
thing of that. I mean, sitting in the cage.
Yeah, and they're not big cages either, because they are hunched up, like, and
I'd say it's an old kind of like parrot cage or something.
It's a bit bigger than that, because like they're obviously teenage lads in it, but it's obviously not like meant for people either, sort of thing. Like, and if it is, it's for trapped people, like.
Yeah, it's for a kid.
Yeah. Now, this film, like, I think 71 by an audience is probably a very fair score. Like, you wouldn't be going much higher, because it is, as we said, very hokey and very,
there's a lot of cliche in it.
Yeah, there is, and you wouldn't be going much further. Like, you wouldn't be telling anyone this is so great. But it is a classic of its time. Like, I don't think anyone would really dislike this. I was surprised to see how bad of a rating it got by critics.
I know one of the guys I used to work with. This is her favorite film of all time.
And I can see why, because if you've seen this as a kid, you'd grow up really enjoying it. Yeah,
absolutely brilliant it is.
Yeah, no, it's definitely up there. Like, in terms of a Halloween film, I won't say a horror, because even though I suppose technically that's where you would put it, because it's about witches and stuff like that.
It's a Disney horror, really.
It's a children's horror. Like, this is something you put on for children, and it's kind of like the lesson is, if you're told not to do something, just kind of don't go and do it, sort of thing. Yeah. It's a very good children's horror. Like, you'd be able to show this to definitely Finn anyway.
Finn's watched it. Finn watched it last year.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Addison might be still a little bit young to actually sit down and watch any film, really.
She sat and watched the Paw Patrol one, but so she will watch. But if it's not a cartoon, probably not.
Yeah, like, it'll probably be another year or 2 for her before she's sitting watching something.
We'll show it to her at some stage.
Yeah, but it's the perfect one for that sort of age. It's not scary.
Like, even Eleanor loves it as well. Like,
yeah, there'd be kids that would be, certain bits might scare kids, like the zombie popping up and stuff. That might get a scare out of them.
Yeah,
but and not such a big scare that you'd be like, they're not going to sleep tonight now because of that.
No fear in that.
Yeah, no, it's very good for what it is.
Yeah, brilliant. It's one of the most enjoyable, light-hearted horror movies you'll see, to an extent.
Oh yeah, definitely one of the best light-hearted ones of all time. I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I will refer to it as a horror because of the way Disney made it.
Yeah, but I think you have to caveat that, like, it's a horror, but then the subgenre is it's a kids horror rather than.
So it's like Haunted Mansion and things like that.
Yeah,
they were all made for kids. Casper was a kids horror comedy kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
things like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the ones for I want to show my kid a scary film at Halloween, or a Halloween film,
yeah,
with all zombies and witches and things like that and ghosts. You want to show your kids that, but you can't be turning around and going, let's lash on Freddy or like Nightmare on Elm Street or Jaws or something. Let's lash that on. The kids will love that. you'd be like, no.
Well, I did say I watched Jaws up until near
A
the
certain
end of
point.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you turn it off when it gets to the main bits, you know.
Finn, go to bed there for half an hour.
Yeah, you're not watching the rest of this space. No, a classic, and don't understand the dislike for it by some people, but again, I don't, but because I like it, but I do see their point in a certain way as well.
Oh, you can look at it and see it and not care, and then you can look at it and see it and be like, well, I take offense to people hating it that much.
I suppose if you're meant to be criticizing it, like your job is to go in and to look
Criticize
for
it,
look for faults and tell people like this is where it fails. There's probably is a lot for that.
Oh yeah.
But if you just want a nice film, sit down, turn your head off, like don't think about it, and then just watch it. This is perfect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Same as the likes of Casper and things like that. There's a few movies that came out around that time that all hit off perfectly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But that's it for this week, and we'll be continuing next week with another horror anyway for our spooky October month. But until then, good luck.